Nicky Dee Talks, let the good vibes flow. Inspiration ignites, watch our confidence grow. One voice, one vision, we're taking the lead. With Nicky Dee guiding, our dreams will keep.
And welcome back to Nicky Dee Talks. So, last episode we did a profile on Ren and the video Hi Ren to do with mental health. And I did say at the beginning of that particular program that we were going to talk to some quite interesting people, very interesting people in fact. And one of them is an interview, a conversation I had with an old friend of mine who has been making waves over the Atlantic in New York City. Started life here in Guernsey, was with the Guernsey Youth and Studio Theatre just like I was. And we did a few bits and pieces together. But as I say, has been living and working in New York City, but not just as an actress. She's done a bit of trailblazing, her and a few friends and colleagues. They're doing a thing called intimacy coordination or directing. She'll be able to explain a little bit more about what that's all about in just a moment. But as I say, I spoke to her a few weeks ago. So let me introduce to you Claire Warden. So, Claire, what on earth happened that you started off in Guernsey and you ended up in New York City?
Yes. Well, I always knew, when I was in Guernsey, I wanted to be an actor. I decided that very early on as a child. Yeah. And so it seemed a very clear path for me to just go where I could get trained and where I could do that work. I mean, I adore Guernsey, but there's no professional acting opportunity here. So my decision was kind of made for me. So I headed to England. I trained as an actor and I was working as an actor in England. And then I met my former husband, who was American, who was over in England. And we fell in love and decided, and he was on a exchange program. And so it came to that decision of, well, my visa's going to be up. Shall I stay here? Do you want to come back to New York with me? And I was like, well, that sounds like an adventure.
That is an adventure too, right?
Let's go. So, so I did. So I went. I moved to America. Sold my house, sold everything I owned, packed 2 suitcases, and went off on an adventure. Yeah. And so then had to kind of start the acting career again from there. Yeah. And so that's what I did, and that morphed into what I do now as an intimacy director. And
okay, so I mean, you've been in New York how long now?
17 years. Yes, I know when I say that. It's, apart from Guernsey, it's the longest place I've ever lived, and yet I've lived many lives within that 17 years.
I mean, obviously we'll get to what you're doing now in a moment, but so you sort of had to sort of start again, going through the auditioning process. Was it mostly theatre work that you were doing?
It was a lot of I mean, I did do some TV and a couple of smaller films, but theatre's always been my love. And I specialised in Shakespeare. So that was a real passion of mine, and I was connected with a couple of Shakespeare companies.
Obviously, you trained in England. So were you passionate about Shakespeare then, or was it?
I loved Shakespeare from a young age. When I was 8, my dad is a fabulous erudite man. And so at the age of 8, I don't remember whether I asked about it or he just thought I'd be interested. He just one day decided to read some Romeo and Juliet to me. Yeah. And I was captivated and didn't get everything, but there was something about it that just locked in.
Okay.
And so I liked it from then, and then I trained at the University of Birmingham, which is affiliated with the Stratford Institute, the Shakespeare Institute in Stratford. So we got to specialise in my training in Shakespeare. So that really kind of cemented my interest in it, my love of it, my experience in it, and I continue to training.
When you listen or read anything to do with Shakespeare, when you read the dialogue, does it instantly come to you what they're saying, what they're talking about, or do you still have to think about?
There's absolutely still some words. I mean, I would say I've been actively studying Shakespeare now for 30 years.
Yeah.
And there'll still be some words or phrase where I'll go, hang on a second, let me go back and try that one again.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, I know that word means that. But the rhythm of it and the feeling of it always comes across to me. And I think that's one of the keys to reading Shakespeare or experiencing Shakespeare, even if you hear it, is not to get too caught up in one or two words that aren't particularly familiar, but to allow the full the shape of it, the verse and the sounds and the words that you do know to carry you along, and you will get the sense of what's happening to this character. Or what it is that they're trying to convey. And then you can go back and just be like, okay, so let me just check exactly what that particular word
express
is.
this?
Because it's actually a lot similar to our modern speech than most people think at first, I believe. There really aren't that many words that we don't use anymore. It's still in the rhythm, like I'm going to get real geeky here for a second, but iambic pentameter, which is the rhythm that Shakespeare is written in, is the natural rhythm of our human speech, and it mirrors our heartbeat. So it's the da 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 da. So that's the first rhythm we hear in our mother's womb, right? So it's deeply connected to our bodies. So I think what's I think done the most disservice to Shakespeare is that people have, or society, or the literacy people have taken it and say that it is a piece of literature to study and chucked it into the brain. And what it was always written as something to be spoken and to be heard. It lives in our body. And if you can listen to it with your body first and then your brain, it will open up for you, I believe.
Because, I mean, obviously they used to sort of do Shakespeare plays in front of ordinary people.
Yes,
So,
who couldn't read.
Yeah, exactly.
Most of the people that were watching a play could not read. They would say, we're going to hear a play, not we're going to even see a play. Like it was about because the whole society then was an oral society. It was a society that was based on speech, not on the written word, because the majority of people couldn't read it, or most stuff was written in Latin or in French, depending where you were.
I mean, I don't know, I'm sure you were around when they started coming, but there was this theatre company came over to the island. I think they were called Odd
Socks.
Odd Socks, that's it, yeah.
I love Odd Socks, I met them.
And they sort of made it in such a way that, again, the ordinary person could understand it again.
Well, that's what it should be. They're brilliant. They got it. They got what it could be, and they wanted to open that to the people.
And there's a lot of comedy.
Yeah.
A lot of comedy.
Oh, it's brilliant. Yeah. Odd Socks. One of the troupe of Odd Socks taught me to fire breathe.
Fire breathe.
Yes, and I still do it to this day. So I don't even remember your name, but thank you, Odd Socks person.
I'm not letting you breathe fire in the guitar.
That garden's a little small to do it. I'll set something up fire.
So an intimacy director.
So I'm an intimacy
right?
director or intimacy coordinator. An intimacy director works in live performance, so theatre, opera, dance. Intimacy coordinator works on camera stuff, so TV and films.
Yeah.
There's a slightly different title for the different mediums.
It's understandable,
But the foundations of the job are the same.
Yeah.
Which is basically a kind of three-pronged job. It's to advocate and protect the agency of actors to make sure when they're doing sex scenes, nudity scenes, scenes of physical intimacy, what we call hyperexposure, which is exposing part of their body that they wouldn't normally on a beach in public, that they are able to consent fully to that, and that they're not persuaded or coerced into doing anything that they don't want to do. And then we are a liaison for the whole production to ensure that everything that needs to be in place in order to uphold that consent, right from the first conversations all the way through to the final performances or the shooting of it, is that all of that information is spread and that everyone is working on the same page to make that happen. And then the third part is that we're also choreographers, so we also choreograph sex scenes.
Okay.
So it looks like
Yes.
the thing is happening, but the thing isn't happening.
Yeah,
In the
okay.
same way as when you see violence on screen, it looks like she just punched her in the face, but she didn't actually punch her in the face because that face is pretty precious and we can't do that 7 times and then change angles and do it again. So there's a choreography skill and craft in that as well.
Is it something that you sort of said, actually, I could do this? Or is it something that you heard about somebody else doing?
It's something that came out of need. So there was, for many, many years in the entertainment industry, both live performance and TV film, there's been a heinous lack of consent for actors. The complicated aspect is that actors in our training, we're conditioned out of the word no. We're conditioned to think that the word no is a bad word, is not okay, because we have to be willing to do anything in order to make the show work or for our career. We're told that myth. That's not true.
It's the whole casting couch
But
thing
yes,
sort of
yes.
thing, isn't it?
And so there's that conditioning goes on, which then serves people with a lot of power and people at the top of a power dynamic taking advantage of a situation they're in.
Yeah.
That was a thing that was known in the industry. It was getting to a point where a lot of people were saying, someone should do something, like someone needs to do something, like we need to do something.
Yeah.
Everyone was like saying that, and then those of us that created this, because I created it with a couple of other women, were just like, well,
Nobody
I
else
guess
is
we
doing
will.
it.
I guess
so-
we have to.
Yeah.
So the process was begun by 3 other women, Tonya Sina, Siobhan Richardson, and Alicia Roders, who were all female. Well, 2 were female fight directors. One's female movement director, and they started like a conversation about what if we created an approach or a discipline that, in the way that we have for creating scenes of violence, what if we could apply a system like that to scenes of sex and nudity and intimacy? They started to build like the skeleton of what that could be. I was connected with them shortly after they started that process, and it was a thing that just clicked in me, that I was like, this is where I'm needed right
Yeah.
now. And I'm a fight director as well, so I had, as part of
Fight
going
directing
along
first, or
no, like acting my whole career, and then sometime between 15 and 20 years ago, I started to train as a fight director as well and worked. So I did that parallel. I did both acting and fight directing, because there is an approach and there's the choreography aspect. And as female fight directors, of which there were very few when I first started working, it's a very male-dominated industry, we would often get called in to do scenes of sexual assault, because there was an assumption that a woman is better at doing that. And what is true is that a woman understands often many women will understand the lived experience and what it's like to try and tell that story in a male-dominated room and world. So we individually were having experience of creating scenes of sex and violence. So we'd started to see what was happening in rooms when people didn't have an understanding of consent for actors. And so then we just kept building an approach and a discipline.
yeah.
And then we're like, right, let's try and bring it to the industry.
So how do you go about that?
Well, we tried everything and all the things, and we actually concentrated first on theatre and live performance. Although some of us did have film experience, we were like, let's get this launched in the theatre. And so we went to training schools, we went to productions, we went to individuals we knew. We just started like yelling into the void and talking to everyone and everything, every person we could, and institutions about the work and how it could serve. And a lot of people were very resistant. Some people were open. We started to put it into practice in certain places, in certain productions. And this was through like 2016, 2017. So that's when we started building it. And then the Me Too movement reignited in 2017. Me Too movement reignited, which was the exposing of the abuse in the entertainment business with Harvey Weinstein, and some really powerful and brave women speaking up about their experience and managing to push that movement through. I'll be very clear, the Me Too movement started in 2010 to run a book, but did not get the momentum because it was by a black woman about black children, and people were not so stuck in white supremacy that didn't garner enough attention. But the hashtag Me Too and the principle and approach was relaunched again in this speaking out of the industry. And specifically in the entertainment industry. So the entertainment industry itself was called out and exposed. Yeah. And so then there was a situation of, okay, well, now the world's eyes are on us and we know how not to do it. Yeah. But we have no idea how to do it. And we were like, hi, actually, we have an idea. Yeah. So I think that moment in social history of a movement, of social movement, kind of we met at a really opportune time because we were like, it highlighted the problem and we were like, we have a solution. So we were able to gain some momentum then. And then it really moved to film towards the end of that year when a production, which was on HBO, the streaming platform HBO, called The Deuce, which was about prostitution in Times Square in New York in the 70s and then went on to pornography. And they were about to shoot their second season, and their lead actress went to the producers and were like, look, and there's a lot of nudity and sex in that show. And the lead actress and a couple of the other actors went to the producers and were like, look, if we're going to do another season, we want help and support. And we've heard about this thing called intimacy direction, and we want that for this program. So we had set up a company by then, so the producers reached out to us and were like, that thing that you're doing, can you do it with us on film? And so we did. Alicia Rodas, one of the founders, went on set. I kind of supported her from offset, and we adapted this for on-camera work. And it was very helpful. And at the end of filming that season, the executive director of HBO then said that he was mandating intimacy coordinators for all productions on HBO. So that was another big step forward. That's a huge step. Yeah, and then we continued to develop it and increase the reach and the protocols and standardize the protocols and train more people to do it. Yeah, I think it would have taken us longer to make a difference. I don't doubt we would have made a difference. I think it would have taken a lot longer. The thing about any social movement is that it requires like systemic change. And if the systems don't like to change because the people in power are very happy and doing very well, thank you very much. And to force a massive system to change, you need something that is bigger than the system. Otherwise, it will just chew you up and spit you out, and it will just stop things getting better, which we see in so many aspects of our society nowadays. So I think this massive exposure that then forced the system and the people at the top of the system, it took some of those that were preventing change out of it, and it highlighted to people that either had closed their eyes or didn't know that it was no longer acceptable. That is what then opened up the door for change.
And do you find now this movement is moving on and that your voices are actually being heard, do you find there is a lot of shifting through all of the system?
Yes, more and more, and it continues. There's still resistance. I mean, you'll still read articles of, there's been various big articles of high-profile people being resistant to intimacy coordinators or consent. And I think there's resistance from people just not wanting to change. I think there's a lot of resistance of a lack of understanding of exactly what it is that we do and how it helps. And there's resistance from people, I think, that if you've never been in the position of not having the power and having your rights or well-being affected by that, then it might be hard to understand why it's important that we ensure that happens.
Like you were saying earlier on, when you were training to be an actor, there was this thing saying, you can't say no.
Yeah.
And now we've got a massive shift over.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of training institutions that still need to find a new way to teach, because that's also the problem. When it's so entrenched in every aspect, like every single part needs to then be examined and shifted in order to support from the very beginning all the way through this idea. It's a radically new idea in a deeply established system that some people just still don't get. And a lot of the time, because I will still come up against people in pretty much every job I do that are resistant to me being there or to what I'm bringing. But 98% of the time, once they see it work, they're like, oh.
And it's still effective.
I get it, right? They get more than they wanted, actually. And everyone is still healthy and safe. And they've told actually a better, clearer, more nuanced story. And what we're having now is that there is a lot more productions, even if like the director or the lead actor or a producer is resistant. Someone on the organization team is like, no, this is what we do now. So they have to have one, even if they themselves wouldn't choose one. And then they get the experience and then they're like, okay, I get it. Next time I'll be okay with an intimacy coordinator. So that's starting to ripple out. There's a society assumption that men are always open and interested in being touched by a woman in any way because they're always wanting sex and they should just be happy and lucky that you get this cool woman who's like touching your body. That's just the assumption that like the way that our society conditions us in these kind of... So there was the idea that, well, men don't need to consent because they're always up for it. And that's not true, right? And it doesn't matter if the scene partner is particularly beautiful. So there's a lot of misconceptions about who has the right or the need for consent to be considered. What matters to me is that consent is a non-gendered requirement, and the people that can facilitate consent are not dependent on gender. And so, we have male intimacy coordinators, we have gender non-conforming, we have non-binary, we have trans intimacy coordinators. It's about your humanness and what each individual human
but that's the thing, it is individual,
needs, and that's where it is really complex, and it's a very difficult and nuanced thing to create because every single person needs something different, and each of those need to be catered to and understood. I mean, we spent the first year of creating it before really taking it out in research and consultation. And putting it together and working with actors and directors and psychologists and sex workers and trauma therapists and acting teachers and all the different people to really get all the information to make the whole picture of what needs to be considered, what is happening now, and how do we shift and change it. And what's lacking and what do we bring to it. It all kind of started like, we get some information and we put a little thing together and we get more and we're like, oh, well, maybe we swap that right. And then once you have that information, then there was a lot of, okay, well, how does it work in practice? So then we would, we'd be like, let's get some of our colleagues in and try some stuff and see how it works. And then let's go into a production and see how it works within a full production. So and still to this day, like we have pretty established protocols now, but each individual show is going to need more of something and less of something depending on the show and the people in it.
I tell you what, you are a bit of a trailblazer, really, aren't you?
I am, yes. Yes.
And talking about trailblazing, we were having a conversation before we sort of set up, and you were telling me about your plans coming up. So you say you're going to go off to Portugal next.
Yes.
And then what's happening after that? Because this is really good. I like this.
Just for fun, I'm going to get on a 4-masted tall ship and be trained to crew it across the Atlantic. So we get on in Lisbon, and then as we sail, the crew teach me how to be a sailor and what to do and how to hoist the mainsail and swab the decks and go and take watch in the crow's nest. And we just set sail and head across the Atlantic until we hit land.
Hopefully you get to where you need to be.
Hopefully. I mean, I'm just putting my trust in them as the professionals, and I'll do what they tell me. At the end of this, I might be like, that's it. Bye, theatre
I'll buy
world.
you the parrot. How's
Okay,
that?
I'm going to hold you to that. I'll be like, Nick,
Parrots.
1 parrot, please send
Yes,
to middle
yes.
of Atlantic Ocean.
Brilliant.
Yeah, it's an adventure, something I've often dreamt about, that idea of just being away from everything and in the middle of the ocean on this boat and the crew.
What about getting back on stage? Come on.
Yes.
It's time for you go treading the balls again.
It is. I miss it very much. When we first started doing this, actually, I knew it would take everything I had. I knew it would take all my time, my energy, my strength in order to bring it to the industry. I knew it would demand everything. And so I said, I'm willing to give up 2 years to usher this in, to lead this movement. You know, it takes a little longer. And then, and once you are one of the leaders of it, then there's we got it established, but
you need to keep the momentum going.
And now I'm also, we have a company, I'm also the director of advanced training. So I'm in charge of training, new intimacy coordinators and directors, and I take that responsibility very seriously with deep integrity. And then there's a lot of productions, and the more productions that get in this, which is good, that's more productions that need an intimacy director.
Exactly.
So, and I'm very lucky that I've been able to do this work, constantly for the last 7 years. And that jobs do keep coming. That's a wonderful position to be in as an artist in the industry, especially right now, because the entertainment industry has taken some big hits in the last 4 years. But I have for a couple of years kept saying I want to carve out and go back to my acting, because it's a very different engagement in the work. And intimacy coordinating, you're taking everybody else's stuff in, but there isn't really anywhere to put it. It is creative in that it's creative behind the camera or from off the stage, to help build it, and I'm facilitating other people's performance and creativity. But it's different when you get to speak your soul,
absolutely,
as opposed to help others speak theirs.
And the last question: are you on IMDb?
I am on IMDb.
Cool. So you should be,
Of
with
course
all
I
that
am.
work that you've been doing.
Yes, I'm on it as an actress, and then you'll see all my intimacy coordinating credits under additional crew, because we've been campaigning for years, but IMDb has not yet added an intimacy coordinator credit.
I'm keeping an eye on you, IMDb.
IMDb, make it so. Yes, so you can look me up there and you'll see all the cool stuff.
I'll tell you.
There's some cool shows on there. I'm really proud and pleased with some of the work that I've been able to do.
I'm proud and pleased that you're my friend.
Aww.
So but thank you so much for taking time to come and talk to me.
Yeah, I'm very happy to. It's lovely chatting with you about this weird life that I've ended up in.
Yeah, it's lovely.
Oh, one other thing that that might be interesting. Aside with all the stuff, I'm the subject of a documentary. So for the
Has
last,
it been released?
Not yet. It's going to be. It's doing the festival circuits at the moment. It's called Make It Look Real, and it's we've been filming it over 4 years, and it's basically about me as a intimacy coordinator and follows me doing my work. We came to Guernsey, and we shot me in various places in Guernsey, interviewed my parents, and so that's it's been picked up by Netflix Australia, at the moment,
Okay.
and we have to do a couple more festival circuits before we can release it to the public. So at some point you'll be able to watch
Wow,
a
I'm definitely going to
documentary.
be watching that one, that's for sure.
That's the really weird thing. That to me, I can't get my head around.
That
I'm
you're
like,
the actual
there's
subject
a whole
matter.
movie
Yeah,
about me
yeah.
doing
And
my work.
somebody will be playing you a few years down the line.
No, yeah, I could play my mother.
Oh, hey.
Wouldn't that be fun? To the me. Who's going to play me? Let's think. What young, stunning, brilliant, very attractive actress
Absolutely, yeah.
coming up could play me?
Yeah, upcoming. Comments, please. Claire Warden, nice to speak to you again.
Thank you
And
for
good
having
luck
me.
for the future and enjoy your trip.
Thank you so much.